It's the Sean and Tamara Show.
You're listening to the Sean and
Tamara Show.
And thank you very much for joining us. It's day
3 out here in Rakiraki, and today we went to Tavua, but let's start off with our morning here in Rakiraki. So Sean, it was really interesting to visit the Rakiraki market this morning, and we also found out that there's a woman in a managerial position, so that was really nice.
It was also really interesting that when we tried to get interviews for the rest of that, because the market report is usually talking to actual market vendors. When we tried to talk to market vendors, it was really difficult to get them to talk. And when one woman decided that she didn't feel comfortable talking, she directed us to someone who was a lot more familiar with the mainstream media, and she seemed like, it's good that you feel confident in front of talking to people, but it also seemed like she was a little bit I don't say vain about it, but she kind of kept bragging. It's like, oh, I've been in this paper and that paper, and it's like, it's okay, yeah, but you know, maybe we should talk to someone else. And she did say that we should, but she was all like, oh no, my voice isn't very good today.
I felt sick. Yeah. Anyways, so we managed to interview this lady Rahini Nand, and she lives around the town area. She's a farmer, and so during the flood period in January and March also, a lot of her produce got like washed away, which is surprising, and it took like almost 2 months to recover and to farm and to make sure that all the vegetables come out right when they harvest it and stuff. And so now, surprisingly, her business is doing well, especially after the floods.
That's really good. And what was also really interesting, a trend that we found, was when we asked, were there market vendors not coming back after the floods, because you kind of expect that, particularly with damaged produce and everything else. Turns out there are a lot more market vendors now than there were before the floods, and that could be a number of different things. It could be the fact that people are trying to make ends meet, so they have to find more ways of getting money, and selling at a market is a way to get money for them, because everyone sort of has their small gardens anyway, particularly out here, to sustain themselves and their families. So, you know, I guess that could be one thing, but it'd be interesting to find out maybe that's something we can continue to do, find out from some of the newer vendors why they started selling.
Yes, and that's really interesting. Normally you wouldn't see that happen, Like if there's a flood, I guess there will be a decrease in market vendors coming to sell in the market. But this one is a really whole different turnout, and especially with the cash walk project that the manager of the market had mentioned, that it really helped a lot of women, the ladies, the women market vendors, to earn some extra income and to be able to produce. To go and buy some new produce, and also provide for their families. So that was really interesting. Very.
And then after that, we headed down to Tavua, which we'll be going to on Thursday and staying there until Sunday. But it was very hot for once, so we're a little bit, not dehydrated, but just a little bit tired, because it was really unexpected for it to be that hot. And then, so we went, and I think one of the most valuable things that we got out of that was our network there, where basically the base of our network at the Gold Foundation.
Irene Kumar.
Yeah, she spoke. The director of Gold Foundation. She talked a lot about sustainable development.
And I think that's really true, because most of the development that happens here around Fiji, some of it normally, after a while, just dies down. People forget to go and monitor and evaluate what they had implemented before and during the project. So that way, like when something is sustained, then you can actually know that people have something concrete to rely on and they can depend on. So, and there's a lot of sustainable development, and because after all, people need sustenance, to always go back to that same project for help and for income and other basic skills that they need to learn.
But that was also really important, because she also talked about, Irene Kumar, also talked about the fact that there are so many people who are so separated from everything that happens, that one of the most important aspects of their work is actual outreach, because while it's really difficult and really frustrating a lot of the time, they have to go out into these communities that are so far away from the town and so disconnected, because while they are really far away, they're in a, you know, they have so many issues and there's so much need there. But it's also really comforting to know that the people in those communities are excited and they want to learn to be able to support themselves and to feel empowered in that way.
Yeah. One of the things that I found interesting was how they develop in a lot of rural women's groups, especially in the interior. So that's like a really good way to form networks and to also let other women know that, hey, we're here for you, so we'll do something about our issues. Not only will we raise our concerns, think of it as concerns instead of complaints, but we'll also come up with a solution. So she shared an example of women in her community, in her village, where they used to get tired of going how far it is to get bread, and so now they're thinking of opening a bread shop. So that's the new project that's going to come up, I think, in a few months' time.
So, you know, that was our trip today, and then after we visited the Gold Foundation, we sort of stayed in town for a little bit to find a couple of things before we headed back. But it was so hot, and it's so interesting to see the fact that it's just 30 minutes away, but the climate's so different because it's a different side of the mountain, and so many, like, different vegetation and stuff, and I don't think it's as close to maybe the sea as well, so all the heat is contained in the interior, and it's just, we're looking forward to working there. We're just a little bit wary about what the weather's going to be like. So, yeah. So I guess in a couple of days you'll hear what we have to say about the weather in Tavua when we move there. So thank you very much, and stay tuned for more of the Shan and
Tamara Show.
We'll be back with more soon.